Good morning, students. This is MS Shande from the College of Commerce, Kolkata, and I welcome you to this class of BCom fourth semester supplementary English, and we will be discussing the content from the first section. We are going to discuss an extract from an autobiography. Okay, it is given here in form of a lesson, and the title of the lesson is "The Struggle for an Education Up from Slavery, an Autobiography," and it's written by Booker T. Washington. Okay. This lesson, which is actually here in form of lesson, is an extract. Okay, a part from his autobiography with the same title. Okay, here also you find the same title is given by the authors. So Booker T. Washington was one of the most influential Afro-American intellectuals of the late 19th century and early 20th century. His life of labor and tenacity, his persistency, determination, etc., stubbornness, right, made an indelible impact on his community, means the people belonging to Afro-American society. A self-made man. He was an educator, writer, orator, and a civil rights leader. In addition, he cherished the political perspective. He was active in political scenario of his country, America, which influenced his fellow beings, his followers, as well as other people from his community, that is Afro-American community. Born as a slave in grinding poverty and living in a log cabin with hardly any facilities, he fought against numerous odds. Despite this, he cherished an ardent desire, undying desire to receive education. The following extract means this lesson that we are going to speak about or to talk about. The following extract from his autobiography, I have already told about this, tells us about his keen desire for education. When he learnt about Hampton Institute in Virginia for Afro-American students, he was gripped by a passion for getting himself educated from there. It was his passion that saw him fulfill his dreams despite the numerous obstacles he faced, physical, mental, financial, etc. His life is a fitting example, best example of the fact that with a steely resolve, no obstacle can stop you from reaching your. So this story is about basically his search for his own identity through education. Okay, he in his life had resolved to pursue education at any cost. You'll be thinking that why having education or struggle for education is important. It's important in context of America. It's because the person we are going to speak about, or the person we are speaking about, belongs to Afro-American community. As in India, we see caste system is there. On the basis of caste, many times we see that discrimination is also there. In the same way, in American world also, you will find the rift between two worlds of the white Americans and black Americans, or here Afro-Americans is there. Earlier so many words were being used to denote these people, this section of American society, who nowadays are called Afro-Americans. Okay, they were Aboriginal people of Africa and were brought forcefully to America, were made slaves. Many of them tried to struggle hard and liberated themselves, freed themselves from slavery, and could achieve the heights in their lives. So very few people were there. Now in today's America, you will not find slavery. Okay, but still you will find discrimination persists. You will find discrimination is there even today. To some extent, it is not totally abolished, it is not totally annihilated, it is not totally destroyed. The system is not totally destroyed. It could not be possible to wipe it out from the map of America, from the society of America, right? So, in that context, Booker T. Washington's struggle for education is important, right? Because it belongs to what? Afro-American community. Earlier, the words colored people, black people, and in the beginning they were called Negroes also, but nowadays it is a kind of a taboo word. We should not use it. So the word which is there in fashion today is what? Afro-American. So while writing down in the university examination, you must be aware of this fact that while writing the words for that particular community, you should be very alert to use this particular word only, that is Afro-American. So let's start the journey of Booker T. Washington for education. Now see, in the beginning what is given? He, as I have already told that he belonged to, it is in past tense, so we will be discussing this in the past tense only, right? It will be visible for you, facilitating also for you to write the answers in the university examinations, right? So, in the beginning, when he was just a child, he was very young. That time he was working in a coal mine. He was just a miner. Okay, M-I-N-O-R also, M-I-N-E-R also. He was a miner, M-I-N-O-R, and he was working in the mine, okay, coal mine. So one day what happened, when he was working in the night time, in the night shift, he heard two persons were discussing about an institution which provided education free of cost, okay, to the people belonging to Afro-American community. So he grew a kind of curiosity in himself as he belonged to that particular community, which was mostly sabotaged and depressed and oppressed community and discriminated against in American society by the whites, by the people who had superiority complex, and most of them belonging to white American society. So they were discriminated against in that society, and that's why he felt at that time when he heard those people, those persons discussing about that particular institution which was meant there for providing education to the people belonging to Afro-American community. So he became very curious and he went close to them and heard whatever they were discussing. Okay, now what they were discussing? Actually they were discussing about an institution. What was the name of the institution? The name of the institution was Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute in Virginia. It was in the region of Virginia. It is today a district in America, right? It is a very big city. So that time it was not that much developed as it is today. So this institute was there. Boarding facility was also there, earning and learning facility was also there. And the most important thing is that a very few institutions were there within in that time, in those times, which provided education to Afro-American people, because they were looked with inferiority by most of the people, and that's why they were discriminated against in that society. So he tried to get more information about that. Actually after that also he could not get complete information. Even that time did not know where that Hampton Institute existed, okay, in which direction to go, where to find that institution, etc. He had just a blurred idea that there was an institution which provided education to the Afro-American people, and that's why out of that curiosity, and here we came across the fact that he had a burning desire in his heart for education. He wanted at any cost, he wanted to get educated, to educate himself, and that's why it was a kind of beginning of a revolution in American society. Okay, would be, but it was there. The seeds were being sown in form of this kind of desire which he had created in himself, because later on in his later life he led his people and fought against all the odds and the discrimination, racial discrimination in American society. So he gathered some information about the institution, that is Hampton Normal Agriculture Institute in Virginia. Later on, what? But for that, what was important? First of all, money. Secondly, consent from parents, that stepfather, right? His mother was not in good condition physically, right? Her condition was deteriorating with every passing day and was worsening, so he was worried about her also. Third thing, complete information, money and consent from these close people. Okay, so he was lacking in all these criteria actually. Okay, his mother was not ready. When he discussed the plan with his mother, because father was not concerned about his education as he was still father. Okay, and he had no that much love and affection in his heart for this child. That is Booker T. Washington, right? So when he discussed this plan with his mother, she half-heartedly consented that okay, if you are doing it for the goodness of yourself as well as the other people, then okay, you can go. Okay, so half-heartedly she gave her consent and was agreed to let him go and pursue higher education from that Hampton Normal and Agriculture Institute. Later on, what happened? Now the problem was there, and that was related to money amount, because he was in dire need of having money to reach that place. So he decided to leave the work in mine, M-I-N-E. Okay, and his mother inquired about a vacant position in General Lewis Ruffner's household. Actually, Mr. General Lewis Ruffner was the owner of the same coal mine where Booker T. Washington was working as a miner, right, as a laborer. And Mrs. Moila Ruffner was his wife. I have written these two words. These characters are important from examination point of view also. You may be asked the question based on this information. So, there was a vacant position and it was of household keeper, right? So, his mother talked to these people and they were very kind to allow him to join their family or household here. Okay, and later on he joined the family of the household. He was hired and was consented to give a particular sum, okay, or amount in form of his salary for working there in their household. Actually, see, there also he faced some problems in the beginning only. Mrs. Ruffner was very famous. Mrs. Waller Ruffner, who was the wife of Mr. Lewis Ruffner, was very famous for her strictness. She was very strict, especially with the people working under her, okay, in the household. So, as maid, okay, or the servants, in the easiest words we can say. So in the beginning, he was very frightened of that lady, he was very afraid of that lady, he was very scared of that lady when he appeared before her and saw her, looked at her, okay. But as the time passed, he became friendly with her. Actually, she wanted the people who were very punctual and sincere, okay, two words, very punctual and sincere about their works, and this person fitted that particular post, okay, and he was very sincere, he was very so dedicated to his work, and that's why he won the heart of Mrs. Waller Ruffner, and that's why she allowed him, Booker T. Washington, to pursue education from the school, and in the daytime he would go to school for 2 or 3 months, in the night time he would sit at home only, and somehow he managed to get a box, and this way managed to procure get some books also from his contacts through Mrs. Waller Ruffner also, and created his own library. So this was a kind of stimulus for him to go ahead in life. It was quite difficult for a person from Afro-American community to challenge or even to face, okay, with stubbornness or stubbornness or audacity boldly the white-dominated society, American society. Still, due to his dedication and punctuality, Mrs. Waller Ruffner also had a kind of soft corner for him, and this way his journey for education started. But what was in his mind? In his mind, there was only one destination, there was only one thing, in his mind, and that was to go and pursue education from Hampton Normal and Agriculture Institute in Virginia. But that time also, when he was working as a maid in the household of Mr. Ruffner's, he didn't have a complete idea of this institution, but he did not lose hope and kept the burning desire and dying desire alive in his heart for pursuing higher education from this institute. So later on, what happened? He decided, the time came when he decided that he must leave this job of housemaid and go to Virginia to join the institution that is Hampton Institute. He talked about this plan to his parents. He talked about this plan with other peer members of his household, other old age people of his community, and his mother also at last said, "Okay, you can go." See, the situation, the condition was very bad of his mother, and I was not sure that he would come back to see his mother alive. So this was the situation of their life, this was the condition of their life. Still he had clearly resolved in himself and wanted to pursue her education. That's why he did not take his legs back. Okay, he wanted to go further. His brother John gave him some money. Other people also who were living in the same area gave him nickel. I have written here. Nickel means 5-cent coin, quarter, a 25-cent coin. Some people offered him the handkerchief. Some people might have offered him with some tattered clothes, etc. Because they were in too much poverty. Okay. So this way he got prepared, and now he was ready to move ahead. And that great day of his journey appeared, and he wanted to move that path. He wanted to walk that unwalked path, because he was most probably the first person from his community in that time who had dared to go pursue her education from this institution, right? This way he was welcomed, his move, his decision was welcomed by the people of his community, and he started his journey. Next problem, there was no any direct train, okay, to reach Hampton, and that's why I had to change to a train. So stage coach is the word here used for transport vehicles, is used what? Stage coaches. So he got such a stage coach and started his journey. And he had to be very cautious while spending money, because he already was carrying a very bigger amount of money with himself, and that's why he was in a too much of severe this kind of condition, financial situation. His financial situation was not good, so he got the stage coach and started his journey. What happened? It was the night time, and the train or that state coach reached an area. It was actually hilly area, it was actually a mountainous area, and too much chill. You know the weather in America as well as England. Snowstorms are very common there, and too much chill is there, and winter, it's not possible to bear that winter, okay, with less clothes, okay. We need good quality clothes to cover ourselves to get protected from snow and chill and winter season, okay, especially. So what happened? That train stopped somewhere, and all the passengers except him were actually from white American society. All of them got down and started going to one house which was in dilapidated condition, not in good condition, right? And most of the people, all the people called that it was kind of hotel, okay, so that these people in the night time could take rest for some time at least. So this man, this young boy also got down and started walking towards the hotel, right? He went there. He was not entertained by the person who was there, okay, in that hotel, most probably the owner or any other person, okay, with the responsibility of entertaining the people, right? So he went at the desk, a person was there. He even did not look at this man. All the other passengers except himself were allotted their rooms. The fact was that he didn't have a single penny in his pocket. After that also he dared to go there and requested them, but before he made that request to the hotel owner straightforwardly. This was the first time when he encountered openly in his entire life discrimination based on race. Okay, it was the first time that he was experiencing racial discrimination in the open space in American society in his public life, in his social life. This was the first time, right? And that time he understood the gravity, the seriousness of this problem. Okay, later on, which was challenged greatly by this man, by this great man, Booker T. Washington, but in his later life. Yeah. So that hotel owner did not inquire whether Booker T. Washington had money or not, etc. But straightforwardly said that we don't serve you people. You people means what? It denotes what? The people from African American. So this kind of discrimination, to this extent the discrimination existed, prevailed there in American society when Booker T. Washington wanted to pursue Hurricane. In that time, okay, this was the situation of America. So later on, somehow, in the chill, in too much, cold, he had to somehow manage to kill the time, and he walked in the open space, and early morning they again started their journey with other people also, okay, for the next station, this way. After the journey of some days, he reached a big city, a large city of Richmond. It was a very big city, and he had never gone that city before. The first time he was out of his small town, that restricted area, right, where he was inhabiting since beginning of his life. Being born as a slave, it was quite difficult for him to face all the social challenges, right? Social challenges. He reached the city of Richmond. He didn't have a single penny. He was hungry. He didn't have money. He was passing by so many food stalls, restaurants, etc. So many edible items were there, but he could just take the fragrance of that, but could not satiate his hunger because he was running out of money, and that's why he had to move ahead. Somehow he found a place there, sidewalk, okay, that is called a roadside in our language, and he slept there. He did not know anything. He was just carrying a satchel, a kind of a bag on his back, right? So some clothes were there, some handkerchiefs were there, etc. Just common things were there, no money, etc. So somehow he managed to sleep on that footpath or roadside or sidewalk. And early morning when he woke up, he saw that a big ship was there. He noticed a ship was there and some people working there. As it was a white-dominated society, definitely we can just understand that ship also, vessel also must be belonging to a white owner. So the captain who was on the ship was also from white African society, but he was a good man. Okay, not necessarily that all the white people were bad and all the black people or the African people were good. This kind of rule or dictum is not good. Okay, definitely some good people are there, some bad people are there in all the communities, in all the societies. So we have to mind this particular thing. We have to keep this particular thing in our mind. Okay, let's see next. So he went there and requested the captain to let him join that work of uploading what? Pig iron, raw iron. So he joined other workers also, and this way managed to earn some money, bought food for himself. He stayed there, worked for some days also on the same ship, and this way when he thought that he had got enough amount of money and he could meet the expenses of traveling and food and boarding, etc., or staying in hotel. So he started his journey for Hampton Normal and Agriculture Institute in Virginia. At last he reached there. At last he reached there and saw a huge building was there. He could not believe his eye that such a huge building could even exist on this planet, because the first time he was seeing, he was witnessing, he was seeing with his open eyes, with his naked eyes, such a huge building, such a big building in his entire life. And that's why he was in confused state of mind that time, whether he would be admitted. He was quite suspicious about himself also. He was very doubtful about himself also, because he was hungry for so many days, and his clothes were also not clean and ironed. Okay, they were tattered and they were in not good condition. No way. So he appeared in that avatar only, in that situation, in that condition, before the head of the institution, or the person, a lady was there to look after the operation of that institution. So he went there and waited for his turn, but so many students were admitted, they were all at their work, but he was still in queue, and at last his number came and he was caught by that lady. So how was his entry into Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute is very interesting to know all of us, for all of us, right? How the examination was conducted, how he was tested, it was a kind of acid test for him, right? So he went there, and that lady did not say anything, but just ordered him, take a broom, go to the adjacent room and clean it. Okay, this was the test for him. This was the examination for Booker T. Washington, which was conducted by that Hampton Institute, or that lady, right? So he went there, he took a broom, he took a clothing, he took a dusting cloth, and not only once, twice, thrice, but 4 times he cleaned the room. And when that lady came there, she also was carrying a piece of cloth, dusting cloth, try to find if there was any particle of dust, but she did not find any particle anywhere. And then she became happy and said, okay, you can be the student of this Hampton Normal Agricultural Institute. So this was a kind of difficult task for him, and he gives the credit of this particular thing to Mrs. Viola Ruffner, because when he was working as a maid in the household of the Ruffners, that time he learned all these things because of the strict nature of Mrs. Viola Ruffner. She was a kind lady also. Even though she was from white American society, she had kind of kind heart for this. So all this happened, and at last he was admitted as a student in Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute. A memory is given here in the last 4 lines. It is that in a very short time I just tell you that after all this happened, after he became a leader of his society, after he became a kind of champion for the human rights in American society, after he came to be known as a great leader in America, a civil rights activist and leader, a popular political leader, he was invited by some people of Richmond, and when he went there, a kind of reception, a kind of party was arranged there for him. Near about 2,000 people from African American society were present. He addressed to those people. It was a big gathering. Okay, by that point of time, he had become a good name, a buzzing name in the struggle for human rights in the American society. He stood there and was continuously looking at that place, which was not quite distant or far away from the place or the venue where that program was arranged. And that time he revived those memories and thought that the first time he had spent that night, the first night when he had reached Richmond City on the sidewalk, on the footwalk. So this is what the struggle of Booker T. Washington, a civil rights activist from America and a leader and challenged leader of African American society. This is the struggle for him for an education. As he was born as a slave, he has written the words "Up from Slavery," an autobiography. So this is an extract from the struggle for an education up from slavery, an autobiography by Booker T. Washington. So here the lesson ends, and we stop. Thank you.